sorry, excuse that. Went to New York, Philadelphia, Columbus, Ohio, and then I drove through Kentucky, Tennessee, and Alabama all the way to Florida for Thanksgiving, and then flew from Florida all the way to Portland and drove all the way down California to LA, and then Nevada and Arizona with my husband for 2 weeks of honeymoon at the end of it, because we got married and then I decided to go, bye. By the way, I'm off for a couple of months. See you later. So that was what happened. So next slide, please, when you're ready. So started off in Boston, and within my first day, I didn't have a survey about social couch surfing for this. I emailed my project hosts. I was like, do you know of anywhere cheap to stay? And this lady who's Canadian from the Boston Food Project was like, stay with me. And I stayed with her for 11 days, maybe outstayed my welcome. But she connected me with all the urban farms, all the projects that she knew that I needed to go see. So she was the perfect connection at the right time in the right place. And we knew that we were like sisters from another mother. When I arrived, they were doing a food market on the first day. It was Halloween, and she was like, here's your bee suit, get dressed up. I was like, okay. So I did this food market in a bee suit, and I learned all about their food stamp program, so how they ensure that market gardeners are given food, growing food, get paid for it, but the community that they need, they can buy that food for cheap. They get a preloaded card, and the stamp program, or SNAP program, or HIP as it is, gets distributed to the right people at the right places. Unfortunately, due to politics at the moment, that may or may not be gone. But for now, they've still got that funding, and it was amazing to see. I went to a vertical farm with this Colombian guy here called Will, and we were learning how to grow vertically. So technology is really moving on in the agricultural urban market, especially in America. So I was helping them set up, and within 10 days they were harvesting 1 ton of fresh fruit and salad leaves ready for the local community to go in their veg box. So it was really, really simple. This greenhouse here was full of geothermal energy, so they're really on board. All of their urban gardens are tackling climate change, showing how cultural food is being used in the right places. It was incredible to see. Top corner there, I met this guy called Rowan, who's from Trinidad, and he was growing chilies and turning it into chili sauce and then sending that money back to Trinidad and Tobago to make sure that the school communities were really well funded. I harvested a ton of carrots with a new entrant farming team, and that was when I actually decided, I don't think I want to be a farmer. I don't think I've got the prowess for this. More on that later. But basically, my hands bled from pulling carrot tops off after like 5 hours. So you've got to have hard hands for market gardening. Also, within the Boston, I did try to mix up farming and art and culture, because that's the whole point of the scholarship. One of the first questions I got asked in the interview was, what sites are you going to go see? And I was like, oh, botanical gardens, more farms. And like, no, we get that you like agriculture and gardens. You're literally like the walking floral magician. What else do you want to see? So I was like, Grand Canyon, art. We smashed it. So my Danielle, who I stayed with for 11 days, it turns out we were matching leopard print sisters. So we went to the Boston Art Museum, found something leopard print to have a picture with. And I took her daughter to the Boston Tea Party, because of course we were teaching each other about British and American history. It was fascinating. She literally thought the Boston Tea Party was having a cup of tea. So yeah, it was nice to have that cultural change as well. Then I went down to New York, and I went to Governor's Island, and Governor's Island is going to be transformed into a climate change centre in the next 5 years. They are investing something like £70 million in technology. And I went to go see their earth matter composting centre, where they're turning compost from big sites at scale, from all the parks, from all the leaves, into beautiful compost to be reused into community gardens. And I got to meet this amazing lady who's doing the work in terms of soil, because we can't have good food unless we have good soil, so it's all part of the ecosystem. And when I was there, opposite was this teaching garden run by Grown NYC, and they hadn't replied to any of my emails because they're literally inundated. So I just went and introduced myself. I was like, hi, can I come in and visit? And within like 5 minutes, we were talking about the issues that they're having about sustainable funding, how they're teaching people about entrepreneurship. So they have a dig youth team where they're 16 to 15-year-olds are given jobs over the summer period, and that gives them the skills. So it was a phenomenal opportunity. Next slide, after New York. Oh, and a full circle moment, which we went to the US Embassy before we went to go visit, and I recognised on the wall of the US Embassy an artist from Britain called Rachel Whiteread, and I've always been a massive fan of her art, and I got to go see the cabin that she built that overlooks the Statue of Liberty with Lower Manhattan in the background. It was the only time I FaceTimed my mum to be like, hey, I'm here. Next slide. Then off to Philadelphia, where again I partnered with a Servas host and a couch surfing guy who runs a project called Walking Philadelphia, but he knew everyone. The civic leaders and the civic engagement that they have is inspirational in America. They've the grassroots up, and he just managed to connect me with farms and people that I needed to go see without asking. I just emailed him, can I stay? And he was like, oh, you're doing this project. I know X, Y, and Z. So I got to meet this amazing, the Philadelphia Horticultural Society. They grow all of the seedlings for all of the community gardens for free, and they give them out to the community. So everyone starts at the same building blocks, which was fab. I got to make, no, it's fine. Went to this incredible Puerto Rican garden where the Puerto Ricans had taught about their farming heritage and their life, and this mural was for all the ladies that had set up the project. And we made some herbal tinctures together, and we sort of had this big open farm day, so that was fab. Really appreciated the art in Philadelphia, as we say. The Walk Around Philadelphia project is walking the perimeter with anyone and everyone, so it was really levelling and grounding. Highly recommend it for the next scholars. Go to Philadelphia, stay with JJ. Really appreciated their graffiti, and I went to one of the first horticultural botanical gardens in Philadelphia. So Philadelphia blew my mind. I didn't have any expectations, and it was fabulous. Then I went over to go see an old friend. I have an allotment grandma who I've been gardening with for 20 years. Her son moved to America 20 years ago. Never thought I'd go to Columbus, Ohio. I called on that contact. I was like, I'm coming to stay with you. And it turns out his wife is mad on Christmas. It was the 15th of July, and I helped decorate for Christmas. It was crazy. Mad. So, but I got to see, I went to Ohio State University where I got to see more of the tech growing, so like the vertical farms. This fridge is a NASA-based fridge. You can rent for $10,000 a month, and that is the cucumber that I ate from it. So I just want to point out that is the most expensive cucumber I have ever eaten in my life, and it just tasted like a cucumber. But it goes to show that now we're talking about how do we make sure that people in cities are fed and fed well, and this will be the future of our food. So it was really interesting to see. Yeah. Oh, here we go. Here's the magic fridge opening, because I put videos in. Ta-da! Then I went on an insane road trip with them. Road tripping in America is something else. You know, you just automatic and go, and if you've never been to a Buc-ee's, it is an experience, because it's a petrol station of dreams. And something I've never, ever come across. It's like Disneyland, but for petrol stations. Bizarre. Next slide. Then Florida, where I was going to stay with an ex-trustee, Sue Hallam, for Thanksgiving. But I thought, while I'm here, I might as well go and squeeze in some more research. So I went to go see the Small Farm Incubator, and I met this guy called Rod. He was retiring the next day, so he gave me like the warts and all version of what farms are, and he was really interested with the project, and he said, you know, we need to collaborate, we need to network, we need to find your funding, you can do it. So he really had belief that this is a project worth going for, and he said even the most bizarre collaborations work. So University of Florida partnered with the Marine Institute Laboratory because they had some spare land, so it's thinking out, making people think outside the box. I also just enjoyed Thanksgiving with Sue, and had just a really nice time going to visit some botanical gardens and looking at some trees. And then I flew over to Portland for the most hipster event I have ever been to in my life. Portland is up there in terms of food, culture, art, no matter what it is. So have you ever heard of radicchio? Radicchio. It's essentially bitter lettuce. The Italians love it. We don't eat it because we don't know what to eat. It's kind of chicory. they had an entire festival for 500 people, where it was an art and culture. So they partnered chefs with growers, with educators, with artists, to just create this event. So I turned, and I've been following this. This is like the pinnacle of my trip, essentially. I've been following the Culinary Breeding Institute for donkey's years, and I've always wanted to go meet them in person. And she said, yeah, come and help volunteer. So I ended up like behind the scenes, helping set up and pack down. And it was just, yeah, that's where we need to bring people together with food and art and culture all together. Because we all eat 3 times a day, and that was my big learning. We need to replicate this. That's what I'm going to do. Then I drove all the way from Portland down to LA, stopped off at some redwoods, had a little 1 day off in an Airstream cabin with a hot tub, beautiful sunset. And then I made it to LA to meet an Instagram influencer called Hans Farmer. He's got nearly 1 million followers, where he just breeds his own tomatoes. And he makes more money from his YouTube videos than he does from actual farming. So there's that too. And that's his incredible rare tomatoes that he breeds. And then afterwards, I ended up just walking past and I saw this community garden being set up in a church, and they were just starting to lay their first foundations of like the wood chip and get planting. So I just helped them for an afternoon and chatted to them, and it was just an accidental meeting that turned into a lovely thing. But for their project, they got $120,000 to set up. That would mean for every community garden in Nottingham so much. So the differences in funding were very stark for America. So what I learned is the people. It's always about the people. We can make as many plans. I've been talking about this for a very long time, but you actually need to do the thing, not just talk about it. I have also discovered that maybe I'm not meant to be the full-time grower. It's not necessarily for me. I've got soft fingers. But also I can help network, I can help collaborate. I know where the money and where things are, so it's changing my perspective. And also food is power. We need more food and good food for people. So that was what I learned from that. I really enjoyed seeing all the youth programmes that were out there, and I've just been on a farm to fork toolkit with Nottingham City Council of how we can make sure more schools are really invested and have the same no matter what postcode across the city. So trying to involve myself more with that. I loved staying with all the Servas and couch surfing hosts. I've never stayed with people without knowing people before, and that was a bit out of my comfort zone, but it was like staying with family in the end. Really enjoyed our road trips, and then we managed 2,000 kilometres and 7 national state parks in 10 days at the end, so I came back and slept for a week. So that was impressive. So I've mentioned that I've been doing the Farm to Fork toolkits. I've been researching and writing about what's next, because I came back and was like, oh, this is really difficult. This is really difficult. How do I make sure I'm going to have money, funding, support, networks? So I'm working on my networks, and I'm going to keep pushing and trying my best to make this work, because it's what we need in Nottingham, more good food for local people, and especially for our youth. And my thank yous, I became obsessed with park rangers. So every single national park, I had to meet a ranger, chat to them. So, thank you to them for all their patience, all of their support. Of course, thank you very much to the Board of Trustees, my mentor. Without you, there was an earthquake that happened, and straight away we knew what was happening. We had an emergency plan and a contingency. You were there all the time, so thank you very much for that. And of course, to all my hosts, to my friends for supporting me, and my husband for paying the bill. Any questions? I've got time for questions? Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'd like to invite Kurt back up as well. Now, I suppose we can do this relatively informally, but before we do, I just want to say a very warm welcome to the Vice Chair of Nottinghamshire County Council, Chris. Thank you for joining us.
We have a full council today we finished just literally minutes to 5 o'clock, and driving down this way and all that, so a bit late today. So
No problem. You're more than welcome. We might get you to do something in a minute.
Okay.
Be prepared.
Thank you.
So we'll offer something. In fact, we've just been joined by the High Sheriff.